Please welcome recipients of the Daniel R. Ginsberg Young Leadership Award from 2016 and 2023, Vice Chair of the National Commission Civil Rights Committee, Jared Lindauer, and Co-Chair of ADL ACT, Drew Danzig.
Thank you so much to Jonathan and Congressman Torres for that powerful conversation. That was really incredible. We're excited to be here to present this year's recipients of the Daniel R. Ginsberg Young Leadership Award. Drew and I are both graduates of the GLI program and know firsthand that ADL leadership opportunities can be life-changing.
Jared served as one of the inaugural co-chairs of ADL ACT, a role that I am proud to serve in now. ADL ACT is a program designed to engage folks in their 30s and 40s to learn more about ADL leadership. The ACT of ACT stands for Advocate, Connect, Transform, and this year's Ginsberg winners have already shown that they are willing to do just that.
The Daniel R. Ginsberg Young Leadership Award recognizes outstanding individuals whose dedication to ADL has been remarkable. From the start of his ADL involvement at age 26 until the time of his death, Dan was the image of an ADL young leader. He served as the New York Regional Board Chair, was a member of the ADL National Commission and its National Executive Committee, and chaired the Community Service Committee. Dan brought a keen sense of enthusiasm and creativity to all of these positions. This award was created by his friends and family to celebrate his life and is given out each year to young leaders who exemplify his enthusiasm and commitment to ADL.
And now I have the pleasure of recognizing the 2024 recipients of the Daniel R. Ginsberg Young Leadership Award. They are Tamara Berkman from Mountain States Region, Joel Cohen from New York, New Jersey Region, Karyn Heavenrich from the Southeast Region, and Zachary Pestine from the Midwest Region. At this time, we are pleased to welcome each of this year's recipients to offer some remarks.
Thank you so much for this honor. I feel deeply connected to ADL's mission and the importance of my generation and generations after getting involved in the fight against hate. Last week, I was talking to a coworker who said, we have to fight hate with love, and I followed that up with, yes, and education to understand why so many of the things hatred tells us to believe are false. I believe this is the greatest gift ADL has provided me with. Back in the fall of 2015, when I began my GLI fellowship, I knew anti-Semitism was still a threat, but I didn't understand how closely it was tied to other forms of hate and how much it would shape the current issues of our society. As I began to connect the dots, I knew I couldn't stand on the sidelines, and I'm grateful ADL has provided so many opportunities to fight for my own community as a Jew and a woman and support other communities who need it. I felt a need to share my knowledge with other young adults because although so many of us have heard our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents' stories of anti-Semitism and discrimination, we unfortunately have had and will continue to have our own stories to share. I truly believe each of us has a unique gift we can use to be the heroes against the monsters bigotry creates. I have loved co-chairing Denver's GLI Fellowship and seeing current and past Sturmies, as we like to call them in the mountain region, discover how they can use their skills and passions to combat hatred. This has been one of the greatest experiences of my life. I'm also so grateful for the people who've guided me on my ADL journey, including the GLI chairs who organized the program when I was a fellow, as well as the ones who've worked alongside me in my tenure as a co-chair, board members who've recognized my potential, all of the GLI fellows I've met over the years, many of whom have become my friends. And most importantly, I want to thank the incredible Mountain Region ADL staff who somehow have time to build relationships with me and encourage me to grow as a leader, a community member, and a person in addition to everything else that they do. Thank you so much.
It's been a remarkable program, and I just have to say on behalf of all the award recipients, thank you all so much for staying here and being attentive for us as we express our appreciation. Thank you to Jonathan Greenblatt, to our National Board Chair Ben Sachs, and to the National Commission for this honor. I'm standing here because of some serious mentoring that's gone on over the past years, and I want to recognize some of those people. Stephanie Weiss, Stacy Hartman, Jared Lindauer, Evan Bernstein, and Karen Weil. I've learned from you all, you've pushed me and you've helped me to grow, introduced me to the ADL, and helped entrench me in its mission, and I really appreciate it, and we've shared a number of laughs along the way as well, despite the hard work that we're doing. A special thank you to my firm, Stout, for allowing me the time and resources to be part of the ADL, and I have some colleagues that are still here tonight and really appreciate you sitting with me and being here. Thank you to the New Jersey and New York regional staff, Scott Richmond, Aaron Kuchar, Kelsey Kaiser, and Amelia Morris, to name a few. Daniel Ginsberg was a former New York regional board chairperson and ADL national commissioner. And as a New York, New Jersey regional participant, I'm inspired by his life and his lineage, to which this award pays tribute. My involvement and motivation to join ADL stems from my upbringing in a secular home that was infused with serious Jewish tradition. And my mom is here tonight as well as the one responsible for some of those Jewish traditions. The idea of tikkun olam. The idea of tikkun olam, the acceptance and realization that we live in an imperfect world, that it's our responsibility and even more our obligation to fix it, to work towards fixing it. And so the dual mission of the ADL, to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and to secure justice and fair treatment for all. How can we ask these things of ourselves, for our people, for our community, without asking, how can we ask it for our brothers and sisters in other troubled communities, without asking of it for ourselves? We're combating hate. It's the core of the mission. And unfortunately, we're living in a time when somehow these acts of hate, this rhetoric, is outwardly expressed and accepted. Yet still, we have those that are masked and shadowed in ways that we've known. So it's our job to fight this mission and to work together. Early in my involvement in the ADL, I was fortunate to participate in an ADL mission to Poland. And as you would imagine, we went to the typical historical sites, the once thriving Jewish communities, and then the memories of those that were murdered in the Holocaust. But one small stop on our journey was particularly impactful to me. We stopped in Kielce, Poland. It was the story of a little boy in 1946. This is post-war, post-liberation of concentration camps, and he went missing. And a rumor spread that he was abducted by a Jewish family. The rumor grew. Law enforcement, vigilantes, community leaders surrounded the tenement house where these Jewish people lived, where these Holocaust survivors lived. And in the end, it was a massacre of Jewish people. Bogdan Bialik, a Catholic Polish journalist and trained psychologist, started asking questions 30 years later. The history of this event and of this community had been buried. The embarrassment was so deep, and the harshness of what had occurred in Kielce was buried for so long. But through his questioning, the truth arose. It was difficult. It was a serious process of healing. People had to face the truth about their grandparents that they once thought of heroes were truly murderers. Facing the truth about this town caused real change. And the work done at the ADL is not easy. To stop hate for good, to unearth truths about the imperfect world in which we live, it's truly difficult. So I'm here with all of you. Home field advantage, I'm here with my 7-year-old Josephine, who is probably sleeping at the table right now. But to you, Josephine, we are in this fight together. You have a room full of people surrounding you where we will work to the imperfections of this world and we will fight hate for good. And like many of the previous recipients of this award, I see this not as an honor, but as a challenge to continue to further and deepen my commitment to the future and to the ADL. Thank you all so very much.
kid, my body knew what anti-Semitism felt like, even though the word did not yet exist in my vocabulary. It was the feeling of many pairs of eyes lingering over my dark hair when I spent the day with a friend at her country club pool. It was the flush in my cheeks when a classmate told me that his dad regularly used the phrase, dirty Jew. It was the gut punch when a swastika was spray painted on my synagogue. These physical reactions made sense. This was the primordial fight or flight instinct telling me that I was not welcome in my hometown, that I was not safe. This, I later learned, was what it meant to be subjected to a scourge so ingrained and insidious that neither the party holding such beliefs nor the recipient of them knew its name. This, I later learned, was anti-Semitism in action. And I know that I'm one of the lucky ones. Unlike my grandfather, I was not denied university admission because the school had already met its Jew quota. Unlike Leo Frank, who was lynched just miles from my home in the Atlanta suburbs, I was not denied my life for being Jewish. Unlike thousands of college students today, I could walk to class without fear of being harassed. And unlike hundreds of Israelis, I am not a hostage. There's one phrase from Jewish teaching that resonates with me and one that many in this room are familiar with. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. Justice, justice, you shall pursue. And there are few greater examples of this than Daniel Ginsberg, for whom this award is named. He understood that the pursuit of justice requires strategic planning and thinking on one hand and boots on the ground on the other. He worked with ADL nationally and served on the National Holocaust Commission, but he also fought in the Yom Kippur War. I am proud to carry forward his legacy from the region that was the cradle of the civil rights movement, a movement whose leaders understood that the critical value of being writers and thinkers, but also being boots on the ground as they marched towards justice. These days, there is a lot that keeps me up at night, excluding my 2-year-old and 5-year-old. But knowing that ADL is working around the clock to fight anti-Semitism and secure equal justice and fair treatment to all gives me some comfort. And I could not be prouder to be a part of this organization and to work with the unmatched staff and lay leaders of ADL Southeast. You all are incredible and so inspiring. You work tirelessly to fight hate for good. Thank you for the honor.
Wow. I look around the room here and I see rock stars. The tireless work we do, that you all do, every day to make the world a little better, a little safer, a little more secure, a little more just, is hard. And I am so incredibly honored to be here among you. And as a proud Chicagoan who thinks his city has almost everything, I have to say I am also very happy to be here in New York City where I can actually get a quality bagel. I'd like to especially thank our fearless leader in the Midwest, David Goldenberg, our board chair, Debbie Berman, our recent outgoing board chair, Fran Krasnow, and our wonderful Midwest staff for their tireless and dedicated work in support of our cause. I became involved in ADL in the fall of 2016, just after the election. I needed a way to help not just Jews, but everyone put at risk just for being who we are. Our public discourse was saturated with calls to ban people based on religion, with allegations that judges could not perform their job because of their nationality, that people who look a certain way should be otherized and kept out, that women should be punished for seeking health care, and of course, that Jews control the levers of power and somehow are responsible for all the perceived evils of both capitalism and communism. And now, in 2024, as these forces coalesce to strip IVF away from hopeful families, and as they refer to us as vermin and tell us we're poisoning the blood of our country, we know our vigilance is more imperative than ever. My ADL journey has convinced me of both how necessary our cause is and how much a difference we can make. In the fall of 2017, after the Charlottesville hate rally and the proposed Muslim ban, younger members of our Midwest board joined together with a church group and a mosque group to pack lunches for people in need. It was a tremendous experience, connecting with people who we aren't always around, who we don't always learn from, over a really good cause. After we packed the lunches, we sat down together for dinner, and during dinner, we asked questions about each other's backgrounds. In a safe and friendly setting, we connected and learned. I have a deep and lasting memory of that night. It brought faces and names to people outside our typical social groups, and I like to think everyone else there that night feels the same. While the neo-Nazis marching in Charlottesville were not very fine people, those packing lunches with us became friends. I know that for almost a year and a half now, we have all felt a version of anxiety, sadness, and fear. At one of our recent ADL Midwest board meetings, we heard from 3 incredibly brave college students who all faced acute anti-Semitism on campus. They told stories of harassment from classmates, having to miss class because they were scared to go around anti-Israel protests that often become pro-Hamas, and further missing class because their professors encouraged their students to leave in order to attend the same protests. At a time when we are mourning our Israeli sisters and brothers, as well as the thousands of innocent Gazan lives lost, we have seen skyrocketing anti-Semitism on campus, in social media, and in the world at large. But I truly believe that experiences like packing lunches with mosque and church groups, making genuine connections with those outside of the Jewish community, having informative and deep conversations with friends and neighbors and strangers alike, bridges gaps of understanding, forges trust, and makes us all a bit more safe. To me, it is more important than ever to have those conversations and make those friendships with anyone open to them, and for us to be empathetic, self-critical, and open to learning. We know that the best way, and maybe the only way, to diminish hate is to make genuine connections, to teach and to learn, and to be emissaries of good and kindness. We are part of an organization that works hard at all of those things, and I am so proud to be standing here with ADL and among all of you. Thank you.